Individuals who is fleeing from Florida and also Texas due to the rainfall or the thunderstorm or the hurricane or whatever you may put it. Let's keep in mind of those two states. Texas, for one. Texas was a slave state before the Civil War. Texas has a long coastline on the borderline of Texas. Texas is connected to Mexico. Now, let's keep in mind. Oh, you never heard of the American-Mexican War? Well, now, back to the hurricanes and the rainstorms. What happened in Houston, Texas, and the state of Texas, the same as Florida, could have been avoided. And the reason why I said that is because Texas is a flat land, and they're right next to the sea. Excuse me. Yes, Texas is right next to the sea, same as Florida. Now, if you know anything about engineering, especially mechanical engineering, a ship can stay out at sea indefinitely as long as it has the equipment to function. When it comes to the engine room or the boiler room of a ship to keep the ship afloat, it can be any ship. It can be a military ship, it can be a queen, cruiser line, whatever it may be. But the engine room itself, in order for the ship to afloat, there's a thing called sea suction valves. You must open up the sea suction valves and let the sea inside of the engine room, or should I say the boiler room. Once the sea hits the boiler room, the boiler take care of its matters, and the boiler will automatically send the energy of the sea over to the engine room. Now, it will come down to its main steam lines, and it consists of several engineering equipment, such as your condensers, your evaporators, your feed pumps, your lube oil strainers, your high pressure and your low pressure turbines. And all of this is needed in order to take the water itself and feed it back to the boiler room once it's condensed, and also sea particles, what you would say clean energy, to be sent back down over to the boiler so it can hit the turbines and the shaft can turn. Now it's more in complex. It's more complex than that. I just gave you a small scenario. Now, when it comes to the water, the rainwater itself, any rainwater could be preserved if you were to have the right equipment. Texas and Florida could have mounted large containers. I call them the water container submerged tanks. And such water container submerged tanks could have been implanted in the state of Texas at the coastline of the sea, as well as Florida, and it could have been used to drain the sewage or the water system upon the flooding from the rainwater in the areas that would be needed. And the water would have been flown back out at sea. But it so happens that Texas itself, and speaking of Texas, what about Louisiana? Levees. What about the levees? Remember those? Well, those levees, the reason why they spent that money, because they were necessary. They should have planted what I have just stated, water container submerged tanks. Something that can hold the water and presented it back out at sea. So it could have easily been avoided, but no one wanted to look into that particular initiative or think of designing or putting a pipeline of a sewage water pumping system for water that they don't know when it may occur and pump it back out at sea. It's similar to like a reservoir. But anyway, Texas and Florida, no matter where it could have easily been avoided. Any engineer could tell you this. But it so happens that, like one always do, let's wait till that time comes. I gotta go.